Really want to have a conversation about adaptation and the need for us as divine feminines to be adaptable right now. There's a lot that we see going on, in the world. There's a lot playing out on the world stage in almost every sector of society. Um, there is changes being made. Whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about religious structures, whether we're talking about in the world of celebrityism or whatever faction of society you look at, there are major changes happening simultaneously, at the same time. Okay, there's economical changes that are happening across the world, at large. And we're always going through changes as a society, but something feels different. And I don't know if the divine feminines who are listening to me can feel the energy, but something feels different about what's happening right now as we watch almost watching we're almost watching. I mean, if I would be honest, it seems like we're watching the false matrix go up in flames, right? We're watching it go up in flames. um and we're watching it change, right? I think that the mother is doing what she said she was going to do. I've said it many times on my platform, and I think everyone who is tapped in to the frequency of divine femininity, that has been studying and learning and repairing and restoring their relationship to the Most High, as she is, that, even when you look at the age of Aquarius and yada yada yada, we know that this change is inevitable. We know that the things we are seeing as consciously awakened people, spiritually awakening and awoken people, we know that this change and this breakdown that we're seeing in the false matrix is inevitable. And if you do not know that, then you are now informed that the changes are inevitable. Okay? Because there has been a major infraction and injustice that has taken place over the generations that has to be repaired. The breach has been broken and it needs to be repaired. The walls have been torn down and they need to be built back up. And so that rebuilding of what has been torn down is specifically in the area of the relationship that the planet has and the inhabitants of this planet has with the mother who created, rule, reigns, and abides on this planet and in every area of the created universe. And the ignoring of her existence, the suppression of her power, the usurpation of her throne, it's coming to an end. And so what we're seeing is changes take place at the higher levels of society where decisions are being made for humanity that are not in their best interest. Things are being placed on the backs of people who it's a falsehood and it's not true natural life. Our lives are basically being sifted from us. Our right and privilege to live a natural life and to thrive is being sifted from us, right? And so all of those infrastructures that have stood in place for generations now, it's their time to come down. And the people who run those infrastructures and participate in those falsehoods, they'll come down with it. Okay, so I want to talk about on behalf of the mother. We're going to talk about adaptability. We're going to talk about sacred rage. And we're going to talk about transformation and purpose. Okay? So, before I get into this at the micro level, I want to explain that what we're seeing happening in society is a direct result of the mother's sacred rage. All right. This is where we meet the side of her that is destructive in its nature. It is evolutionary in its nature. It is the warrior principle of the Great Mother, where she has to come in and remove things in order for truth and love, ultimately, to be at the foundation of the lived experience in this dimension, in any dimension that needs this kind of correction, right? And we find ourselves at the opposite end of her sword right now, right? We find ourselves at the opposite end of her correction. She's giving the planet a good ass whooping, like mothers can sometimes do. And so her sacred rage is fulfilling its purpose to bring about a transformation. And we are all, whether we know it, whether we want to admit it, whether we want to go with the flow of it, we're all going to be at the receiving end of that correction, because she is mother and there is none besides her nor above her. And so when she makes a decision that the children need to be reeled in, the children need to be given discipline, the children need to be, reminded that I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. When the children need to be reminded that is what she is very capable and very skilled at doing. The beautiful thing about the mother's sacred rage, and this is what we as her emanation, as divine feminine women, this is what we can learn among other things. But one of the things we learn is that this is not about inducing fear, right? This is not about, when you discipline your children, I don't whoop mine. I used to, but I stopped because it didn't align with my heart. It didn't align with what I believed my children needed, you know what I'm saying? And so, nevertheless, I don't whoop them, but I do discipline them. So any form of discipline is not about instilling fear as much as it is about instilling respect, as much as it is about instilling discipline, as much as it is about forging a certain integrity in the mind of the child that they can go on in their life with and honor their life with, right? So the mother likewise, this is not about fear. Her correction is not about, I am mother, hear me roar. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't move in that frequency. But she does, however, move in the frequency of sacred rage. Okay? She does, however, move in the frequency of sacred love. Right? And when you truly love somebody and they step outside of your, we talk about unconditional love all the time, right? And the unconditional love is the highest vibration of love that there is. And so, but in any aspect of when you're talking about a relationship now, relationships and love may be unconditional, but relationships are not. Relationships are very much predicated upon condition, and I may still love you But that doesn't mean that I may not need to adjust the nature of the relationship to accommodate that love. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to accommodate where you are as a person. I have to accommodate, where you are in your ability to unconditional love. Because just because I have the ability to do it doesn't mean you do, right? So the relationship is very much conditional. I think sometimes we get on our unconditional love soapbox and we kind of make the relationship synonymous for the love, and it's not by any means. You can very well love someone unconditionally and choose to limit their access to you, choose to limit your access to them. You know what I'm saying? You can adjust the relationship. I unconditionally love a lot of people that I don't talk to often, right? And it's actually in my unconditional love that I tend to stay away, right? Because then we start forcing things, thinking that unconditional love means that I have to be a doormat to you. I have to lay down and take it, and that's unconditional love, and that is not what unconditional love is. Because when you do that, because you have a misunderstanding of unconditional love, when you continue to allow people to mishandle that frequency, it creates karmic situations, right? It creates karmic situations, and unconditional love is honorable and righteous and integral, and all of that is a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful high frequency of love, but that does not determine how I choose to allow you to relate to me or how I choose to relate to you. I have to use logic when it comes to relationships. So relationships are conditional. The mother loves us unconditionally, but the relationship we have with her needs repairing. It needs restoration from the heart space, right? I think we've spent so many generations now, relying on spirituality, the spiritual aspects of this planet, of this dimension. We've relied on the manipulation of spirituality and haven't really mastered the condition of the heart space. And in almost every religion, in almost every spiritual organized concept, the heart space is always at the center of it. And then you can pick any one of them. It doesn't matter, and there's something to be said about that. So we could sit and talk about spell work and spell casting and African spiritual systems and Christianity and prayer and all of these tools that we have. But a worker who doesn't have the heart or the passion for the job, after a while they fuck up. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Or after a while they quit. Or after a while they step out of certain boundaries. After a while they don't respect the position. After a while they abuse their authority. After a while, you know what I'm saying? You have to have a passion for yourself as a spirit being and the spiritual nature of things. You have to have a heart for that. You know what I'm saying? And not just a curiosity, not just a, investigative nature of it, but you have to love the mother with your heart. You love your ancestors with your heart. You know what I'm saying? Not because of what they do for you, but just because everything that has been created by the mother at the highest frequency of love should be loved unconditionally, right? So, sacred rage, it's important to understand the difference between sacred rage and rage. Okay, sacred anger and anger. Sacred rage, and I'm reading the definition off of Google. I Googled it because I wanted to see what it was. Sacred rage is a transformed form of anger that can be a powerful force for justice and activism. It can also be a heart-centered desire to reject the worst of humanity and strive for a higher self. Strive for a higher self. The second part of this definition kind of really jumped out at me. I think it really applies. I mean, the whole definition applies, but what we need to understand about sacred rage is that this is not destruction for destruction's sake. This is not destruction for selfish, self-centered reasons or gain. This is not destruction for greed. This is not destruction for any reason other than to bring about a certain justice, a certain balance. It is a rage that can be used to break down societal norms. It is a rage that can be used to break down, even things going on in your family that have been rooted at the bottom of your family, that has been causing division in the family, the hidden secrets, the things we don't want to talk about and look at and deal with. We don't want to spotlight because we don't want to offend or harm or hurt anyone's feelings by bringing up offenses and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, sacred rage can be used individually and collectively to break down calcification, things that have been standing in place that no longer serve, aid, nor benefit the individual or the collective. Okay, this is not anger and just being pissed off and then just hauling off and knocking somebody in their junk. You know what I'm saying? This is sacred rage for the purpose of transformation. Okay, for the purpose of transformation. And the mother right now is busy in the world, in this reality, in this dimension. She is busy utilizing her sacred rage on the world stage, okay, to break down things that are no longer needed and probably shouldn't been there to begin with, but it's there, so let's not even split hairs here. It's there, so it's there, but it no longer benefits. It cannot go into the higher frequencies that the mother is trying to move us as a people and the planet into. It cannot go there. So from the top to the bottom of the pyramid of what we call society and what we call spiritual reality and what we call spiritual structuring, from the top of that pyramid to the bottom, changes are happening, and it's happening first at the top. Okay, and this is why people who sit in positions of authority and sit in positions of leadership and rulership, this is why it is imperative that you maintain a certain integrity, because as above, so below, but you are at the top of the below. You know what I mean? Like the above is above, and when the above starts to come down, it hits the top of the down first. So if you think about society as a pyramid, and then you think about the space above the pinnacle of the pyramid, let's just say that's the spiritual realms, that's heaven, that's where the spirits reside, that's where the mother is. Then when she starts coming down, who does she reach first? Okay, who does she reach first? She reaches the pinnacle of the pyramid first. And so when you are, when people who we know sit at the top of that pyramid, the top of society, and they have been ruling with an iron fist, they have been creating oppression and costing people their lives and their spiritual lives, with the lies and the falsehood and the deception and the trickery and the smoke and mirrors and the slavery. So what we are witnessing at the bottom of the pyramid, right? Because the bottom holds the masses of society. And so what we're watching happening at the pinnacle of society right now is that the rage of the mother, the sacred rage of the mother, is doing what it is designed to do, which is to break down, strip away, and move away anything that no longer aids, benefits, or serves the collective and the planet. And I can imagine that, when you've, been a part of that hierarchy, you probably do walk around with a little air of like, I'm untouchable. And in the society you may be, but nobody's not untouchable when it comes to the mother, because she created you like she created me. She created you like she created the sun, and like she created the stars, and like she created the trees. We're all subject to her as mother.